Sally Newell Cohen, Senior Vice President of Global Communications at ICANN, and I'm joined today by ICANN President and CEO Göran Marby and ICANN Board Chair Maarten Botterman. This week, we're kicking off the ICANN71 Public Policy Forum, which is dedicated to the policy work of ICANN supporting organizations and advisory committees. I've asked Maarten and Göran to talk today about what's on their minds as we head into ICANN71 and what they're looking forward to in the week ahead. So thank you both for joining me. Maarten, let's start with you. The board recently directed ICANN.org to launch ICANN's first operational design phase, or ODP. This ODP will assess the system for standardized access and disclosure to non-public GTLD registration data, or SSAD. And that stemmed from the recommendations in the Expedited Policy Development Process, Phase 2, in its final report. So can you tell us why you and the board thinks that this assessment is important?
Okay, well, a good question. And indeed, I can imagine on top of many people's mind. This is an important issue, how to deal with this appropriately. And it's an issue that touches many of us in ICANN. It will also be a costly process to get it right. And just to make sure that we're moving the right way, it's important for the board to get the right information, get a clear feel for the costs, the implications that come with it. And therefore, we asked the organization to perform its first operational design process, which in a way is a way of making explicit what they would need to do anyway. Get us the right information to be able to do our duty from a fiduciary perspective and ask and take our decision on well-founded grounds. Now the whole community can also see what grounds these are and how we come to those grounds. So therefore I think it's crucial, and I do think we'll do it for more projects of key importance as well.
Thank you, Maarten. Göran, one of those projects that Maarten mentioned will likely be for the board to direct ICANN.org to conduct an ODP regarding the next round of new GTLDs. So can you tell us a little bit about that next round and why it's so important to the internet users of the world?
Thank you, and thank you for the question, because it's a really good question that we sometimes lose sight of. If you take a step back, today we have about 5 billion internet users, and we have 1,500 or so abilities to identify themselves on the internet, and most of them are in English. For me, the next round is to give the ability to people to have form their own communities, based on their own narrative, their own language, their own keyboard, their own scripts, so they can have their own identifiers on the internet. We created a scarcity, and it's an evolution, of course, that is so English-based, or in many ways. Now we need to give the rest of the world the same abilities. So the work we do with, the important work with universal acceptance and IDNs is going to be really, really important. It's a way for me to preserve the diversity of the internet. And someone said, which I sort of enjoyed, that it's about we made the internet technically interoperable. Now, with the next round, we can actually make it interoperable for people, so they really can use their internet based on their demands and their wishes. So it's not about adding new English names. It's about something completely different. And I think that's something that is going to be so important for us for the next years. How do we do this? I mean, the ICANN community is the perfect place to have those discussions with. But now we also need to reach beyond those people to make sure that we give this opportunity to the world. And I think it's going to help the goal of having 1 more billion internet users, to have them active on a diverse internet going forward. So that is what the next round is all about for me.
Thank you, Göran. It so speaks to the global nature of ICANN and the importance of these conversations that happen at the policy forum. So, Maarten, the next question is for you. What are some of the topics that you're going to be keeping a close eye on during ICANN71?
Well, of course, we already mentioned 2. We mentioned the asset, and Göran rightly mentioned also the new round, which isn't about only how we do things, but also why do we do it? what value are we going to add with that? So I'm really looking forward to those discussions and will follow them closely. Next to that, obviously, I'm also very interested in how we progress working together, making things happen, both in terms of how do we make sure that the multi-stakeholder model continues to be an effective mechanism to deliver on our mission. At some point, we will meet face to face again. So how will we grow towards a new phase now the pandemic is changing over the world, and how would we pick that up? What are the ideas of the community about that? One thing is, what I'm very happy with, is that we've sent out a survey to ask the community's opinion about how to go back, and we're really interested in seeing what their thoughts are. And our first decision after ICANN71 is, of course, to consider whether we can and how we can do the AGM in October, to be decided later. But the discussions on how we progress in new ways after the pandemic is something that cares to all of us, and let's make the best of it.
All right. Well, thank you, Martin. You're right. So many important discussions happening during the week, particularly about the future of meetings as we go forward. But Göran, there's so many discussions happening, and I know that you're always interested in hearing from the community and the opportunity to work with the community. So what are you most looking forward to in the week ahead?
My role and my staff roles during ICANN meetings is to make sure that the meeting runs as smoothly as it can. Between the ICANN meetings, as you've seen now in a virtual environment, we have improved or added much more functionality to help the community in their important discussions. So it's sort of the meetings for me is really just to make sure that things run smoothly. So especially the policy meeting, which is so much for the community to discuss policies. But of course, I'm eagerly waiting for as a personal interest, discussions about DNS abuse, about the expedited PDP phase 2A discussions, and all of those discussions that the community is now handling. But making sure it works, that's my job.
It's an important job indeed. Well, thank you both. I think we have a lot to look forward to in the coming days. I want to thank you both so much for taking the time to share your thoughts. And for those of you who are watching, be sure to visit ICANN.org for ICANN71 scheduling and other information. We look forward to seeing you there. Thanks.